here's what we have to offer in terms of learning and teaching from the industry and what other customers have done and how you can be more successful in your role versus take a meeting because I want to show you a demo, because no one wants to see a demo.
All right, great to see y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Leads to Growth. We've got my man Jerry Brooner here today. Good to see you, Jerry.
Hey, Chris. Good to see you. Hello from San Francisco.
My man, Jerry and I have been kicking it here on the call. I think we've got 3 intros already done and executed. This will be our 3rd, so we're ready to rock. I don't know about y'all. Hey, I got to tell everybody, Jerry and I, we kicked it off right away. We had a call. I remember I was leaving the ranch or something like this, and I had to pull off the side. Oh, shoot, I got this call. Pull off the side of the road, and Jerry and I kick it. I'm like, oh, man, I need to hang out with this guy more than just interview him. So really excited about this hour of the day here that we get to spend with y'all. So thank you for joining us. And for those of you who don't know, Jerry, first off, got that title, President of Global Field Operations. So he's got a lot to share with us about what he's learning out there at a company called Enable. What a great name for what he does. It's a venture-backed cloud-based SaaS solution for B2B rebate management. And from what I understand, Enable has tripled its revenue and customer base since the last year and has more merchants and suppliers in the UK and US than any other company software solution, which is needless to say, they're playing big boy games, big girl games too. But we'll let Jerry tell you a little bit more about Enable. But prior to Enable, Jerry was with 2 decades with high growth growth global entry price SaaS technology. Growth global enterprise SaaS technology. I just read that wrong, y'all. Listen, the guy's got experience. That's all that I know. And he was a CRO at Scout RFP and took them from 50 to 540, from a $50 million acquisition to a $540 million acquisition. In 2 years. So the proof is in the pudding. Jerry, thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, Chris, thanks for telling you. And I'm excited to come over to Austin there and hang out with you. I hear great stories about that ranch you were coming from. So I can't wait to come over and spend some time with you as well. Thanks for having me.
Man. Absolutely. We're going to be doing some cool things over the ranch. We start broadcasting this podcast from the ranch. We're going to start the studio over there here real soon. So we'll have to have you back for an in-studio session, Jerry.
Deal.
Awesome.
As long as you promise to take me around Austin after.
I can do that. I've been known to show people a good time or two. But Jerry, so tell me a little bit about what you're doing over there at Enterprise or at Enable. What are you guys doing over at Enable, and what's what brings you to us today? Like what's firing you up and getting you out on the stages right now?
Yeah, it's been a super exciting time for us. Like you said, we've tripled not just our revenue, but more importantly, our customer base and our team. As you can imagine, our growth has been exponential globally, which has been the exciting part. Our company started in the UK, we moved to North America headquarters, and then things have really taken off here. So I was excited for the opportunity. Obviously, a big fan of yours and the association, and it'd be great if I can help help other people, because I remember when I was getting my first couple jobs as the lead and what to do and not to do, and if I can share that with you and the audience. I hope I'll make a few other people careers, less mistakes.
I love that, Jerry. And for all of you who don't know, we'll start with some of the good stuff. This guy doesn't just say he gives back. I mean, this guy sits on the board for 3 or so organizations that the Boys and Girls Club, I think, over there in the Bay Area, and a couple of others, where Jerry actually does take time and energy and give back. So and got a lot of love and respect for you on that, Jerry. And coming from our side, we know that when you give, the more value you give lead with, the more money and the more success and the more fulfillment comes in return. So appreciate you leading by example in that area.
Yeah, I'll have to thank my parents for that one. Growing up as a family, we always volunteered 1 day a month, and we were always taught, give back to the community, and you got to be a part of it. And it actually really gives you great clarity. Like, personally, I great fulfillment from my wife and 2 daughters, and to give back to our community here. Not only the Boys and Girls Club, we have Mission Dolores Academy, which is a school here as well. And for us, not only personally is it fulfilling, but I also learn a lot professionally. When you sit on boards, you have an understanding of how boards operate. You have understanding, if you want to learn about true leadership, try leading 200 or 300 volunteers. try volunteer coaching at a 5th grade girls basketball game. That's you'll definitely learn some leadership there.
That's exactly right, and it's beautiful, and it's we often forget, people get stuck in that get mentality, right? And they forget that giving is the opportunity to get, right? And that's the opportunity to learn, to the opportunity to grow, and the fulfillment. I mean, we're all stuck in this isolation, lack of connection with things that are going on right now. Giving back is the best way to get out of your own head and to get into get back into your own heart. And so, love what you're doing there, Jerry. So, and listen, this is a great lesson for all you salespeople, right? Everybody's jumping on, taking training. Great, yes, get on training. Yes, sharpen your skills, do those things, but also find time to give back. Find time to become the person that you want to be, right? And Jerry, you do a great job of that. So, Jerry, how does this work? How does this carry out when in your onboarding and bringing in and growing sales teams? I mean, do you look for these qualities? Do you present or provide these opportunities for your sales teams out there when you're growing them? And how does that carry in with what you do at Enable?
Well, a lot of what I do is, not only have I learned from doing it several times and witnessing, I witnessed some unbelievable leaders, business leaders in different fields, not just sales business leaders, customer success, finance, almost every business leader. You can learn from everybody, and your job is to watch and learn, because then you can apply those different skills internally. And there's several things that I've learned in the professional world and in the personal world as well that I think helps sales teams scale, or I would say any team. And some of those things that we look at and we try to make sure we do here is, it might seem simple, but your process and your language has to be exactly the same for everybody, and it has to be simple. And let me share with you what I mean. When we talk, repetition is the mother of skill. My grandma used to tell me, repetition is the mother of skill. When we talk internally as a team, as an entire company, when I go to an entire company and you ask anybody, you say, what's a commit deal? They will tell you P0, everyone drops everything. If you need help, commit deal. The entire company, engineers, you go to an engineer and tell that, because they know if someone from the sales team comes over and says, I need help, I got a commit deal, they drop everything. So we have a common language that our entire company speaks around our sales process and our sales methodology. So a common language is super important for everyone. So that's how they follow. And then also the repetition, come Fridays, come every other Wednesday, come the onboarding, every single person on the team, and there's 110 of us, and they're marketing, demand gen, sales ops, enablement. Everyone goes through the exact same process and they do the exact same thing every week, because then it becomes a repetition. And that's how you scale. When we started 4 reps, right? We quadrupled. We've gone in that. And the only way you can do that is if you here's the process, here's the language, everyone checkpoint as we go along.
I love that. I just had I'm muted here. I just had a great conversation with a group who works in onboarding. This group Optonal, and they work with sales onboarding in an audio way, doing some really cool things in an app. And they said they've talked to a couple different companies, and the company said, yeah, we really need this, great. And they ask them about their messaging, and the company kind of freeze. Well, I don't know. Let's ask what are the reps saying, and that idea that, yeah, if you're not all running the same messaging, how are you able to test what works and doesn't work? For one, right? How are you able to improve on something? But then two, like you said, how are you able to duplicate that and scale it? I did a lot of work in network marketing for a while. And network marketing is the duplication of the sales of the sales skill, right? And that is exactly what it is. And so, network marketing is really good at keeping a uniform line. And it's almost annoying sometimes when you talk to a network marketer, you're like, oh, I hear the thing now, but they're very good at that messaging. So I think that's a very, very important point. What is your messaging and what is your sales process? So how often do you see companies out there grow and scale without those things in place?
I mean, my entire career, I've seen it. So I think enablement, we're so lucky to have an unbelievable enablement team. They've been with me at a couple of companies. Lissa, if you're out there, this is truly unbelievable. Our enablement team is first rate. And what we do, it's amazing. Every company I've been at, besides the last 3, you'd sign your offer letter, you have a start date in 2 weeks, and then you get there that morning, you start filling out forms, get a laptop, right, Chris?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Our enablement team is so on top of things. They have a structured process. The moment you signed your offer letter, you have a touch point every 48 hours. You have a homework, you get your calendar 3 days before for the next 2 weeks. Every hour in your calendar workday, say, here's what you're going to be doing. Here's what we're going to prepare you for. Here's how we're going to help you to ensure you're successful here. Think about that. Like you sign an offer letter and then suddenly every 24 hours on average, you're getting a message, a prep work, your calendar telling you what we're going to do to make sure you're successful and how to do it and what we're asking from you. And then the moment you get here, that turbocharges. And by turbocharges, let's see here, they say, okay, you are an enterprise rep covering the electrical industry in the Northeast. By the way, here are your top accounts. Here's your persona. Here's what you say to them. Here's the number of averages. Like literally, they lay this out for them. So I think enablement's a secret weapon, and Melissa does great. She keeps it simple. She keeps it repetitive. She keeps the same process.
It's such a beautiful thing too, because what happens when somebody starts in a new gig, when they start a new job, they're very uncertain. I don't know what's going on, right? Everything on the outside is affecting how they're feeling, and on the inside, right? Mm-hmm. They're being moved around, and if they aren't given successful plans to take, they don't know what to do. Yeah. And if they're given those successful steps to take, they're able to build that internal motivation. They're able to build that confidence over little small steps, and then they're able to measure themselves because they know exactly, oh, we're all doing the same thing, and someone else is getting this better KPI here than I am here. So, all right, I need to focus on this skill and area to improve. It's a very beautiful feedback loop when you have a good onboarding system.
Yeah, and Chris, you know it. In sales, what happens at a lot of companies, it'll never happen in a company that I work at. What happens in a lot of companies when I was young in my career is, you'd get your territory, and no one would talk to you until you had a deal in play for the quarter. Literally, they'd be like, "Here's your territory. Good luck. Here's your forecast. I don't know, mm-hmm. And I'll see you when you have a deal in play for the quarter." And as leaders of this, as sales leaders, that's the worst thing you can do, right?
Absolutely.
If you just focus on the myopic, like, how do I get this deal in this quarter? Then you're like, okay, what about next quarter and third quarter? And how do I make every one of my AEs successful? That's our metric, right? AE success. Like we literally publicize it. We go out and we say, how many of our AEs made it this quarter, right? And the industry average is like 40%, mm-hmm. right? We're 76% for the year. Right? 76% of AEs making their number, right? That's important. That's the success of it.
That's strong. Absolutely. And that speaks to the leadership. So when you took over in this position, were there a lot of things that you had to change? Were they on the right track and moving in the right direction already? Or
for me, it was amazing how successful they were. You have to think of the company I joined. They had nobody in North America, or they had the CEO in North America.
Okay.
They started in the UK, not in London. I had to Google the town they were in, by the way. I was like, what town is this? Right? I was shocked how successful they were. They had great names like Advanced Auto Parts with, nobody in North America. They had that as a customer. Wow. So I will say that, I was shocked how successful they were, but no, they didn't have any of the, what's our language? What's the onboarding? How do I hire 40 people? We hired 40. How do we hire 40 people a quarter? They had hired 3 people a year or something, right? So they didn't have the process in place for scale.
Well, what great insight for them to bring that in, though, because it's very easy. You're talking right now, a lot of people got lucky with, this rapid digital transformation that happened. They got thrown in front of some successful business, and they started earning some money, and they didn't realize that they had no marketing or no sustainable growth process or anything. They're like, no, we're winning. We're just going to ride it. Well, no, this is when you take advantage and go, all right, we don't know how to control this winning. Let's find a way to reproduce winning. Let's find a way to, and I love how they brought you in and said, oh, great. Now we find out that we can win. Well, let's scale and build a system where we can really take advantage and win. Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah, and Chris, you're exactly right. I mean, nowadays with the amount of VC money floating out there, you can write an algorithm on a whiteboard and get 50 million, right? That doesn't mean you can sustain success. And here in San Francisco, I haven't been to Austin lately because of a pandemic, but here in San Francisco,
we've heard about it. Yeah.
I've seen lots of startups with money, and then they burn it, and after like a year and a half, 2 years, they're laying people off. And it shocks me in this environment with the tech world that we're in, how anybody could be doing layoffs. They should be scaling.
It really is. And it's also not frustrating is probably the wrong word to choose, but as an entrepreneur out there, as somebody who's out there building companies and stuff, working on these things, then to see somebody who gets the money and does not know what to do with it or how to manage it and just throws it all away. And then there's out there people who really would know what to do with the money. There's just not as much risk or upside for those people that it doesn't attract that big VC money. It's very interesting how the risk outweighs the consistency very significantly in that market. Still the same, especially in places like San Francisco, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to look for in founders, right? And look for in a founder is someone who recognizes, okay, I don't have a skill to scale a revenue organization. I better go find somebody. Or I don't have a skill to scale a CS organization. What's my skill? Most founders are developers most of the time, right? Or so the really great ones, I think, are ones that add skill sets they don't have, and they recognize that. I'm very lucky with Andrew with ours that he was like, I don't know anything of what you're doing. You let me know what you need.
That's awesome. What a great place to be and to get that confidence, obviously, which you've earned, Jerry. So kudos on that. So Jerry, absolutely. So as you grow and scale companies, so where are you bringing your salespeople in from? So there's this big, obviously this big interesting market that we have right now with workforce, right? Yeah. You've got the great resignation, all these great stories. You've got, I was at a taco deli on Congress, and it's a $20 an hour for making tacos here. Like, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the minimum wage is up so high, people still can't hire. I see people have like $5,000 bonuses for manual labor jobs. You just can't get people in the gigs. And now sales doesn't seem to be, you can't get people in the gigs. It seems people are popping around all over the place, hopping from job to job. So I guess onboarding is a first off, a number one great way to keep people there, right? Invest in them. They feel invested in, and that seems. Are you finding them from specific places? Are you finding them from specific industries? How are you doing your hiring?
Yeah, Chris, it's such an interesting topic for me because I get calls all the time. I get calls from my friends, my colleagues, my peers, even some competitors, which I always say, right? And they say, "How do you hire anybody in this market? Like, it's the worst market for hiring." And I was like, "I think it's the opposite. I think it's the best market for hiring." And for me, if you are in Austin or in Boston or in San Francisco, and you're looking for the sales rep, and I used to be one, right, who started as a BDR, went to mid-market sales, went to Salesforce, went to Workday, went to SAP, and then you're trying to hire them, yes, you have a hard time if that's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for. I would embrace the opportunity in front of us, right? Diversify your search, look for that great talent that's out there doesn't have that background. I look for ones with industry experience. I look for ones that have a track record of success. I don't care where your track record of success is. I can teach you our sales process. I can make you successful here, and I can teach you my, parts of how you run my value-based sales methodology. So the whole, with the pandemic, to me, it opened up. I've hired great people in parts of Canada I've never heard of. My wife's Canadian, so I could say this, right? I've hired people in parts of the United States that I haven't heard of, right? Out in States. And then I'm flying them around and in the UK. So I think this has really opened up my eyes, at least, and opened up my recruiting. Like I said, we hired 41 last quarter. We think it's a great market right now.
I completely agree. First off, great job on landing a Canadian. Good play, Canadian. Highly rated. But also, I agree. I mean, Jerry, when you are functioning well with sales enablement and onboarding, those two things, if you can do those two things, this market's amazing for you. Yeah. But if you can't plug and play somebody who invest in them, give them a system to be successful in, and let them feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves, like something purpose driven, you will lose them over and over and over again. And I think that's where people are failing, is they're being more reactive with hiring people and less proactive with building a system which people will stay into.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that exactly. And what are they targeting? Where are you targeting at? Right.
100%. Christine Rogers with Aspireship. I don't know if work with her at all, but they have a great boot camp where they work with SaaS companies to bring in people with from her big recruit base is restaurant business, ex-servers. They're not working in those restaurants anymore. They're hustlers. They're used to like working hard, and they've got a skill set to learn. And they can figure out the technology, and if they've, they're young, at least they've got that savvy technology, a little bit of a base, that's there already. So, and then she puts them in a boot camp, and people pluck them from her group. And I think it's brilliant. So I think what you said is just so important. It is the infrastructure, the onboarding, the proven sales system that Jerry Brooner brought to the table, which allows you to have this hiring, heyday here, or so to speak.
Yeah, I have to call her. I started as a cook. I was a terrible cook, but you learn like hard work. You learn to interact with people. You learn to be part of a team. I was a terrible cook. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And the servers, they're just, they're hustlers. They're out there looking to make some money. So, all right. So Jerry, you've got just a way about you, and both of us, I think, we're probably those guys that walk into a room and everybody's like, it's just easy for you to make friends. You can just go up and talk to anybody, right? We have that natural rapport. But it's also, I think it comes from a proper intent, right? Your intent's good, your heart's good, you're genuine. How do you teach people to build rapport and be genuine and even personalize a little bit, while remaining still, proper intent and still being, because you can't teach somebody to be a good person, but you got to, but you got to teach them to lead, focusing on that other person, not sound too salesy. We're trying to influence you, but if I'm sounding too salesy, or if I'm sounding too, chintzy or cheap, I'm gonna take away from the opportunity for you to get to something that you need. So how do you teach that?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you it was something easy to do. First, I think you have to start with the recruiting and back to the people. You're absolutely right, Chris. You can't teach empathy. You can't teach commitment. You can't teach dedication. You can't teach any of those. You can't teach hustle. Can't teach hustle, right? So if you screen for those, and that's what you're looking for, right? So we have, here's what you must have. And by the way, none of them are must have like technology skills. Literally none. Here's our must-have skills, 4 of them. And none of them are like commitment, dedication, passion, curiosity. Like I can't teach any of that stuff. So
yes.
But I can hire that. Like I can tell by your background and the interview and everything. And I structure my interviews and the whole team so you can look and hire those. So I hire for those skill sets. What I can teach is not to be salesy and not to be pushy. What I can teach is a customer-based, value-based sales methodology. And my thing is, you never talk about the word enable. You never talk about you talk about customer, goals. You talk about your individual, clients, project goals and how they're rewarded. And if you structure everything in that way, and that's how our sales process is, and every presentation that goes out the door starts with our, most of them. Have you seen all the startup presentations? Here's how much funding we got. Here's how much we grew. The first 8 slides, right? Here's how many offices we have. Here's how many SKUs. Like you've seen all those, right?
Here's how brilliant our founder is.
Yeah. We threw all those away, right? The moment I got here, we threw all away. We start with, here's what we heard from you. Here's what your key goals are. Here's what your project time is. Here's what if everything in the world was perfect, you could do, right? Like literally those are our first 4 slides. And then we say, well, here's a couple ideas that we know from the industry. We're experts in our industry on maybe something else you haven't thought of. And so I'm at slide 7 before we've said anything about, our product or how we can help them. So that's what I think you have to teach that. And you have to teach that not just in presentation, but in how you act. Your marketing campaigns, right? We don't care about our customers or our funding. We literally don't care about us, right? Put your customers at the center of your universe.
I love it. I love it. Everyone wants to hear their own name. Everyone wants to talk about themselves, right? Like it is
how you've grown. We started this, and I was a little.
But it's so funny that you say that. But you say that we know that we like to do it, but we also forget that they like to do it too, and it's better for them to be happy than us, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's the idea is that they want to talk about their own company. They want to talk about their success. They want to talk about the brilliance that they're coming to and making this decision to move forward with you, right? And I think that's such a great reminder. The slide decks is just such a beautiful, apparent way to do it. But it is a leading with empathy first.
Yeah.
How do you identify these skills? I mean, how do you identify passion? Do you guys using surveys, assessments, or are you using just really good interviewing skills?
I wish I could say, here's a panacea, just do this and you're going to find it. I think you have to have a combination, Chris, of
I agree.
Right? You have to have, your interview process, right? So what are you going to be asking for and testing for in each step of it, right? So you got to make sure you're coordinated. How are you going to test for that? You got to make sure the people testing, again, the people on this side, learn how to recognize it, how to ask for those things, right? So it's not as easy as, it's funny to me. I've never seen a bad resume in all my years of hiring of thousands of people. I've never seen an AE that's missed their number. I've never seen anyone that hasn't been the top of their class. Literally every resume I've ever seen, everyone is number one, which is not possible. So
Right.
resumes almost thrown out the window, right? As you can see. But then you got to get in, you have to talk about it. Like, one of our favorite questions is, tell me about one of your customers. And if they say, oh, I sold my product for this amount, right? One of our great hires we have, I was like, tell me about one of your customers. And she was like, oh, JetBlue, this was their most profitable route. They're opening an airport in Europe, and this is their margin on jet fuel. Okay.
We're getting somewhere now. Yeah.
Exactly what we're looking for. Right.
Absolutely. That's great. It's someone looking to serve a need, and it's been that shift. It's someone looking to serve a need as opposed to sell something. And with education, with the knowledge that's available for our customers and prospects these days, we have to understand that we're just there to consultative sell, to add value, right? This whole idea too of you get the emails on LinkedIn or the messages on LinkedIn. All right. Just accepted your message, and the second I accept your request, I get the automated message that hits my LinkedIn asking me to set up a meeting. I don't reply. I get another one the next day asking me to set up a meeting. I don't reply. I get another email the next day from you and the thing asking to set up a meeting. Like, I haven't even. It's like dating a girl, right? It's like dating a woman, right? There. Listen, like, can I get some sex? Can I get some sex? Well, you haven't even kissed me. You haven't even reached in for a kiss, and I haven't even opened myself up for the kiss yet. And you already asking for the meeting. I haven't even shown any interest. So I just think it's very funny. So, do you guys teach this social selling? Are you because obviously the role of SDR and marketing is very shifting right now. We see account executives kind of handling a lot of that. That relationship from beginning to end in a more of a revenue operations piece now. Are you teaching social selling in your group? And if so, what tools are you using to do that? Are y'all using any automation in this process?
Yeah, and it's funny as we're on a podcast talking about social selling. And Chris, I know I was one of those that sent you right after our first meeting. I sent you a meeting request because I enjoyed our conversation. I was like, let's do it again.
Yeah, for sure. No. We connected. I opened up for the kiss. That means we can go to second base now, Jerry.
We obviously use tools. I think for us, the way we turn it. And I hope this is important. It goes back to being, putting the customer at the center of your universe. What we do is not try to say, hey, are you willing to take a meeting with me? Because I got a great new product and I can, I got a, end of year deal. I'm at the end of my year right now, which is what I think about this, right? What we try to do is we're trying to teach and help people understand things. Right. So people, there's a lot of knowledge out there. So if you want to learn about, B2B rebates and how, Advanced Auto Parts earned, over $1 million after using our solution, we can help share that story with you. So we try to pivot it to, here's what we have to offer in terms of learning and teaching from the industry and what other customers have done and how you can be more successful in your role versus take a meeting because I want to show you a demo. Because no one wants to see a demo.
No, someone wants to see a demo. The person who clicks on the stupid button on your website who wants to see a demo. That's the one that wants to see the demo. Otherwise,
those are there.
That's great. No, and I love that concept too of hey, here's what we're doing. Let me know if you're interested in hearing more. Here's how we've helped someone like you. Let me know if you want to talk more about it. And I think. But the second I get 3 paragraphs, I already stop reading. I skip right past it because a full paragraph, even with all love, I'm not reading a full paragraph. The guys that Try Lavender, William Balance and Will Allred, these guys are doing great things with it's called Lavender, trylavender.com. And it's I don't know if you're familiar with Jerry, but they have and then I think there's a couple of other games and a couple other players in that area, but just the idea that send it as if you were sending it to somebody in a text message, as if you were texting a friend, and I think that's what we forget because what, 10 years ago, I mean, we were still buying long form copywriters that were writing like, 7 scroll, like,
Yeah.
emails for us to get, things change fast nowadays. So how do you all stay on top of the trends? I mean, are you guys just monitoring your data? Are you looking at what's going on in the industry as far as templates, trends, and marketing, and setting up meetings, all these different types of things? And on technology, that's the other thing. I mean, technology changes so fast. Look at AI writing tools. I mean, they were nowhere last year. They're producing this year. So how do you stay up on those things, and how do you introduce new things to your teams?
Yeah, for me, I'm actually a little bit behind on technology personally. I think of business outcomes and business processes, and I try to think, okay, if I have something, could I do it better with technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I have an opportunity to reach more people with my succinct customer focused message with technology than I can, with just one person? So, I wish we had a way to say, we try everything. We don't. We're very like, okay, how do I get more engagement by sharing this important message of this really successful customer? Not asking for a demo, not selling. How do I do that? Videos. Okay, how do I do more videos on LinkedIn? Because then I could share those. And we literally don't ask for anything, or we don't, request anything. We say, look what this great customer has done with us, Schneider Electric. Look what this unbelievable customer, Wolseley, Travis Perkins has done. And then we share those, and you'd be shocked how much more response we get than just cold outreach.
I like that. I like that. And I think it's a play. It's that's marketing, right? I think marketing kind of lost its way a little bit, and they're like, all right, well, let's just get a bunch of telemarketers and call them SDRs and send them out there, right? And I think we're now getting back to the place where marketing is doing a good job of educating, of doing a good job of identifying those interested in the solution. And now when an SDR or rep reaches out to somebody, there's a level of interest there. When the emails start, or when the outreach is there, it's, they've already searched you, they've already found you through the videos, they've already clicked on the thing. Yeah. So you're aware of some level of interest, and other than just random giant lists.
I mean, it's just like random cold call lists or random lists. Hey, you have, we see your title and we want to, help you with your year-end close. And I'm like, what? Crazy.
Yeah, and then also too the idea of, hey, it's the end of the year, don't you want to make some very important technology business decisions because we have a deal? Like, how does that even make any sense to y'all? Like,
it's so funny, Chris, because you and I know, having been through this a long time, but still to this day, I still get those emails and phone calls from people, and they're not personalized, they're not focused on my business, they don't teach me anything, and they don't help me with anything. And literally, I don't know why they wasted their time.
It's unbelievable. I've had, and I'll say the name, findcourses.com. We actually did a year with them, saw a couple results, very limited. And I think it might have been a little, I'll take some responsibility. I think we might have had a little bit on our side that we weren't maybe meeting up with as well. Maybe we could have done more. But I've been reached out by 6 different reps, different reps asking me hey, would you like to bring your programs to findcourses.com? I'm like, I replied to the first 2. I was like, hey, I had a year with you guys. It didn't work.
It didn't work. How do you not know that?
Yeah. And I keep getting new reps. It's like that old day when you used to go to the sales job and they hand you the old list, back in the day when they used to hand you a list of numbers that you'd have to dial with your fingers. Yeah. Right? And they would hand you this old list that had just been handed through the entire company and dried out. Now they're handing it to you. That's what I feel like I'm on sometimes.
Chris, I'm old. It was worse for me. It was a files. It was a stack of files. Here's all the people we've called that have said no, or customers who have rejected us. Here's your territory, Jerry. Young man, good luck.
But you said it right though. Look, technology is great if it can increase or add to a KPI that's important, right? And I love what you said there. Start with the system, start with a process, then go look to technology to increase KPIs or to add value in areas where you could improve on. And I think that's a really important piece. People often go to the technology and then try to fit their systems within the technology because we're working with this now.
It happens all the time, even internally. Every company I've been at, especially the last 10 years. people come to me and they say, hey, I want to buy this. I'm like, what are you buying it for? Like, tell me, well, it does this and this. No. Tell me what we do internally and how it's going to optimize that or increase your productivity there. And then they get a little stumped. Well, it does a real cool like ML AI and it does this over here with this. And I'm like, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah, all that stuff's distracting you from doing the things that you really need to do anyways.
And by the way, it's if you go to any company, almost any company, the average SaaS products are like 2.3 to every employee. 2.3 SaaS products to every employee, right? Like, how is that possible?
That's I heard another stat the other day too that said the average SaaS tool is utilized less than, it's like 48% to its full breadth and scope.
What? Yeah, there's two or three of them for every one of us.
Yeah, oh for sure. And everyone, they're like, oh yeah, get this one because it does all the things. Yeah, but we already have two things that do the thing it does already. So it's ridiculous. I love so I think basically the point, Jerry, to that answer that question is definitely go to a system. When you're looking at tech, when you're looking at adding new pieces, look at the system, look at the process, and does it make one of those KPIs that are very important to our business and organization? Yep. Does it improve them? And if it does, then look at testing that out.
Yeah, and you'd be shocked most of the time when someone comes to ask you to approve a PO to purchase something. If you ask a simple question like that, my team now knows. But like when I first started here, I got like 50 email requests to buy things. I was like, tell me what you're doing. What? And half the time they'd be like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's cool though.
It's only 10K though, and I get a free trial for a year.
Oh, that's great, Jerry. All right, Jerry, listen, I know you're saving some sales tips. So you got a couple sales tips for any industry. I know that was one of the pieces we have here. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to come to those here in a few minutes though. Okay. But I want to ask you a little bit about, tell me a little bit about what Enable does. I mean, what's the elevator pitch on Enable?
Yes, we enable trusted trading agreements.
Trusted trading. Okay.
Okay. So what I mean, so globally, if you think everyone has a trading agreement. And what it means is, so if you're a distributor or a manufacturer or a customer, you go and you say, I have an agreement with you. And here are the terms of that agreement. Advanced Auto Parts is one of my favorites. Advanced Auto Parts is they have, professional mechanics, right? And they're trying to drive behavior because they want them to utilize Advanced Auto Parts more than any of their competitors. So they have agreements in place and they say, hey, for every X amount you spend, I'm going to give you a rebate back. I'm going to give you a credit, right? And so now they're trying to track those. So what we do is we ensure both on a supplier and a customer side that those agreements are accurate. They drive the right behavior. They're saving people money. Nowadays, almost all of those are in emails or in filing cabinets somewhere.
Interesting. Okay, so is this like a cashback program type thing, like a loyalty type program? Okay,
can be, and a lot of times people think, my consumer rebates, I hate that discount, or hey, if I buy 12, I get one free. If you think about most of the world, besides Apple, most of the world, there are manufacturers and there are distributors, right? And
sure.
Most of them aren't fully integrated, industry chains. So if you're a distributor, you have lots of manufacturers. If you're a manufacturer, you have lots of distributors. So how do you drive that behavior? And how do you claim the rebates that you actually earned? One of our biggest customers, and they're on YouTube, used our product, and then the year after, they've got 1.8 million in rebates they didn't earn the year before. Hard dollar rebates that they had contractually written in and contractually negotiated, but they didn't claim because too many different contracts, too many different people, and they couldn't keep track of it. I mean, the CFO should give me more money is what the CFO should do, because I got him 1.8 million pounds.
Yeah. It should be a cut off the top on that.
Yeah, it should be. B2B rebates it's a $1 trillion industry, and we're the first native cloud solution to take it on, disrupting the market. We're excited.
Boom. I love that, man. That's awesome. Well, Jerry, listen, man, we could go all day. I really enjoy our conversation, and honestly, I'm probably going to reach out to you after this for a little one-on-one conversation as well. But this time isn't just for me. We have an audience here. So, all right. So for our audience, we got a lot of salespeople, a lot of sales professionals out there, a lot of people in revenue operations. So all these things really tie in, but sales is with the national. Well, there we are over there. National Association of Sales Professionals. Yes. So, Jerry, what are a couple of sales tips that you could offer our audience Hey, something they could put to play right away. But a couple sales tips that might apply to any industry, but that you could give our group, because man, you're one of those guys that people are like, man, I don't even know what he does. He just got it right. Like like it, and like I don't know how to teach it. That it's just it's just him. He just got it. So give us a couple of those good tips that you've learned along the way here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to. And Chris, anytime you want to talk, you let me know. I'd love to catch up with you.
I appreciate that, man. I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, I enjoyed our conversation today. For any profession out there, but especially sales, I talk to people about preparation. If I can give you one thing right now, I tell people preparation, and it's so easy to be prepared nowadays with the amount of research that you have available at your Google. All right, you can be so prepared, and I go into meetings and customers are shocked about how much we know about their firm, their industry, each of them. All right, and that goes unbelievable. If there was one thing that every sales professional could do better to be successful, be more prepared. Do the work, be more prepared.
I absolutely love it, Jerry. I think, one of the things that we talk about all the time is getting in state to create, getting in state to be present. I think far too often, we have we did an event out here where we taught a lot of stage power and a lot of, speaking for a lot of influencers. And it was called In State to Create. And the concept is really like, look, the prep doesn't have to be right before the call. The prep's done way before that. But then how do you pull from that prep? How do you pull from that onboarding? How do you pull from the sales training? How do you pull from all those skills, not thinking about them all at the same time, right? And how do you get out of your own head and stay focused on that other person? Yeah. And so what we really like to do is having that outcome. Have an outcome before I move. What's my outcome? What's my purpose? And then take action and do something that break your patterns when you come onto that call. Because if you roll in with patterns on that call, Jerry, if I would have rolled on this, hey, Jerry, oh man, I'm so busy, Jerry. Hey, it's a good thing we're getting going. Let's just go ahead and get this thing recorded. And you just go, okay, yep, all right, let me just activate the talk mode, right? But because we came in and we even had a little disruption at the beginning, right? You weren't on, I wasn't on. These goofy things are so beautiful for us to come in and break our patterns. And when we break our patterns, we're able to go tap into that empathy, that internal motivation, external focus. And then that's when all that preparation that we have is able to just flow out and execute, because we already could see the successful meeting at the end of the call.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I think with John Wooden or someone, the will to win is nothing without the will to prepare, right? And don't show up 5 minutes before the meeting and say, I want to win this, and start Googling, right? That meeting is weeks in advance. What are you going to do between now and then? How many hours are you going to put in to prepare? And then, like you said, how do you prepare for the opening? How do you prepare for your talk track? How do you prepare to focus on the customer and talk about them and educate them? Just like you said, break your pattern. That's great, Chris. That's a great start.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, Jerry Brooner, be prepared, y'all. Be prepared.
Thank you, Chris. Enjoyed my time here. Great time. Thank you so much.
Same here as well. Hey, y'all, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this interview and this great conversation. This guy's awesome. Make sure that you do the one important thing is press that button with those stars at the bottom. We really like that. You can do anything else later, but press the button with the stars. We appreciate that. That leads to growth, y'all. NASP. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thanks, Chris.
See you, Jerry.
Bye.